Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us again in our series of career conversations. For the sake of those who are here for the first time, my name is Margaret Waithaka. I am a career development practitioner in College of Career Guidance and Development. I've worked in the field of career guidance advice for over 10 years and quite a number of years in management. I've been a national panel member for KICD for the CBC. Right now, I champion career development as part of the pertinent and contemporary issues. I am the board chair of the Association of Kenya, Career Development Association of Kenya, that is CDAC, is the professional body. Of course, for everybody who is working in this sector, we would love them to be part of us. I'm also the president of East African Career Development Association. That is the East Africa Career Development Association that is looking into issues on career sector in the Eastern Africa and at larger extent in Africa. We would like to write our own stories. I've also co-authored Discover Your Career Workbook, which is approved in use in school. As I look at our participants, I am happy to see several people from Nigeria. I've seen others from Rwanda. I've seen Uganda. I've seen Tanzania. So kindly, when you introduce yourself, tell us where you are from and what you do so that you can know each other. This is a family of career conversations. We've been having a series and we've been learning a lot from each other. And we've been learning a lot from our participants. Today, before we go to our topic, I would like to introduce who College of Career Guidance and Development are. We are an online institution registered by the government of Kenya. Our objective is to impart career guidance skills and competencies to young people and persons involved in offering this service to diverse populations. That is whether you're talking about schools, you're talking about the youth out of school, you're talking about persons in at work. All those are competencies that you are able to impart. We also have career development. We are also career development content developers. We've developed career guidance framework for TVET for their two countries, CPD and industrial attachment for their tools are all sponsored by UNESCO. I'll be giving you a link which you'll be able to see for those ones who will be interested. We are also executive members of CDAC, and I think I talked about that. For those ones who will be interested in these reports, the career guidance reports that we have produced, here are the links, and if you are interested, let me know that I will be able to share it at the chat. So these are career conversations where we talk about different issues on careers and talking about what is it when we talk about career development, what do we mean? We've had a series of different areas and different topics. And today we are going to talk about the elements of the professional career development service. Is going to be offered by Professor Ronald Sultana, who is going to give us insights on career development and professional services. We've had speakers from the UK, and last week I promised to bring you a speaker from the Mediterranean. That is, we learned about it, Professor, about your country, about Mediterranean Sea, but we'd love to hear more about you and what you're doing in this space of career guidance and development in the University of Malta and at a larger session in the whole country. So this is how the program is going to be. Professor Sultana, after I am done, Professor Sultana will come in, will give us the elements of quality career development service. He's our guest speaker today. I will invite you to have a Q&A. You can ask Professor anything that you'd like to ask. And then I will invite Dr. Mercy to come and tell us a little about what she has to offer when it comes to quality and getting certified. And then one of our students will give us a testimonial, and then we can have discussions on the floor. I want to introduce Professor Ronald Sultana. He's not a doctor. He's written so many articles. He's amazing. Professor Sultana is a professional, educational, and sociology comparative Okay, he'll talk about all that. He's from University of Malta at Euro-Mediterranean Center of Educational Research. He studied in Malta, in the UK, in New Zealand, in USA, and is a founding editor of the journal, Mediterranean Journal of Educational Studies, which includes a special thematic series. Sultana is an author, Professor is an author of an editor of 40 volumes of books and has published over 120 articles and chapters in referred journals and books. I went through what he has done and I was amazed. His work relates to educational innovation, linkages and education and work, and he has a very special interest on career guidance and development. We met last year during the Global Career Month, and you were amazed by some of the content that he has. That is Professor Ronald Sultana, and at this moment, I want to invite Professor Sultana so that he can tell us what elements we have when it comes to quality career guidance and development services. So Professor, I will stop sharing now and then I'll give you room to share, and for 25 minutes, we'll be all ears. Thank you. You are on mute?
No. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
And can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes, Prof. Yeah.
Very good. So thank you very much for inviting me to have a conversation with you across thousands of kilometers. I'm living in Malta, and I will be speaking very little about that, but overall, I will be talking about some of the learning that I have been privileged to do over the past several years in this field. As I said, I'm based at the University of Malta. Malta is a very small island bang in the middle of the Mediterranean, as you can see in the slide, very close to Sicily and Italy, and also to North Africa. We speak a language which is partly Arabic. About 60% of the words we use come from have Semitic roots. We're typically Mediterranean in the way we live, our culture, and so on. And I teach at the University of Malta, where we also train career guidance specialists through a master's degree that is offered jointly by the Center for Labor Studies and the Faculty of Education. I will use the time allocated to me to try to speak a little bit about three main things. First of all, and this is my main intention, is to provide participants with a bird's eye view of what's happening internationally. That is, what I hope to share with you is not necessarily something new. You're doing, some really excellent work over there, but trying to give a picture, portray a picture of what's happening internationally, some of the main trends and practices internationally, as they've been developed over the past, let's say, 15 to 20 years. It will have to be brief because I only have 25 minutes, but in a sense, what I hope to do is to squeeze together, like like having a lemon, and take out the juice of some of the many books and many reports that have been written over the past several years. It's something which I have done also, which I have published in a volume, which is available free of charge, and I will leave a link at the end of my slide presentation. So if we don't cover all of the material that I'd like to cover, in this booklet, there are most of the more important messages that I'd like to give you. So it's been very busy times for career education and guidance, especially since the year 2000, when the OECD started a review of many countries. It started with 14 countries internationally, and this expanded to close to 60 countries now that have been involved in different agencies like the World Bank, the European Commission, UNESCO, UNICEF, and we now have a very good picture, a very detailed picture of what's happening in many of these countries. And in some ways, those of you who are listening and who are becoming interested or have invested a lot of themselves in the field of career guidance, you should know that this is a field on the rise. That is, from the perspective of policymakers and of researchers and of practitioners and of customers and clients who use our services. This is not a service that has remained hidden, but it's becoming more and more in evidence, more and more required, especially in a complex world where young people and adults need, through career conversations, help and support in making their way through life. We have seen across the world an incredible number of initiatives, both from government and from agencies, so top down, but also communities themselves who feel the need for such services, and they have developed some very interesting initiatives which we're trying to capture and to document so that we can feel inspired. There's been a lot of policy analysis, research, training courses have been developed. It's now become customary that all people working in this field actually receive specific training, sometimes at diploma level, often now in Europe at master's level. We've also seen the formation of a very successful set of networks, which I will mention briefly as we go along. These are some of the networks that one could perhaps look into, like, for example, the ICC DPP, which looks at policies and meets every 2 years and discusses, the best way forward. The ILO has a network. The European Commission has another network. There's a network of students who are carrying out doctoral research, and they meet every year. They've met already in Malta, one about 2 or 3 years ago. Also very important, and I stress this, is that increasingly we are becoming aware that career guidance takes many shapes in different contexts, in middle-income countries, in lower-income countries, and in the global north, that there are different ways of thinking about career guidance, of helping young people and adults find their way, and that we need to remain sensitive to the specificity of context. Myself, I have studied a lot of what's happening in Europe, but also been very privileged in looking at career guidance in the Middle East and North Africa region. I've carried out 2 major studies for organizations there, trying to see what's happening in places like Egypt, like Palestine, like Lebanon, and also in the Western Balkans. So I've been very privileged to be challenged in what I've learned in such countries as the UK, New Zealand, and the States, as well as in France, and to think of, different ways of valuing work and different ways of planning one's life and one's livelihood and different ways of what one puts priority on. So I find that has been extremely enriching and humbling in many ways. There's also been a lot of developments in terms of policy, in terms of developing new ways of practicing career guidance. And many of these innovations and initiatives are actually available free of charge on the internet. I give some references at the end that could be useful. And we're also, one of the major themes that we have looked at is that while there are global issues, as for example, discussed in reports by the OECD, by the World Bank, by European Commission, by UNESCO, while there are global issues that are common to all, it's very important to balance this attempt at globalization of policies by a focus on the local, by trying to understand what communities really value and need, by trying to find practices that resonate with the cultures in which we work. And this is extremely important, I think. And that's been one of the big developments, I think, over the past years. Very briefly, why has there been so much investment in career guidance by many governments? It is basically because, as you all know, as we all know, guidance benefits individuals. It helps us find our way. It helps us plan our studies. It helps us challenge stereotypes based on gender, race, ethnicity, class, and so on. It ultimately helps us improve our quality of life and gives us the skills to be entrepreneurial, to make difficult transitions sometimes between and across education, training, and work. So we know, and there's a lot of evidence, that what we're doing has value. And it has value for individuals, but it also has values for countries. Again, here there's been a lot of work done in order to identify the kind of impact that career guidance can have on communities and on nation states, either by ensuring a better match between supply and demand of skills, by making sure that people feel included, that the unemployed are more likely to find work through the training, by ensuring mobility of people in order to enhance the possibility of employment, by integrating people in the labor market, whether they're ex-convicts or whether they have some kind of disability that keeps them from, expressing themselves and flourishing in life. So society too benefits from our work. And this is very encouraging and very heartening, I think. That despite that the work that we do is sometimes difficult, yet there's a lot that we are contributing to. Now, in the last few slides, and I'm rushing, keeping my eye on the watch, I'm going to share with you some of the key, let's say, messages that emerge from this international work that has been carried out since, the year 2000 up till now. I've been through many country reports. I've been through many studies about what's happening in career education and career guidance internationally. And I'm here focusing mainly on career guidance in schools, career education and career guidance in schools. And here I've identified a number of key areas where work has been done. And I'll just share with you some of the learning that I've taken away from this work and which I have shared with my colleagues in my own country, and I'm happy to share also with you. So career education and guidance in schools is all perhaps people can put their sound on mute so that there isn't any disturbance. Very good.
Okay, can go ahead. I'm muted.
Okay, very good. So the first aspect is that career education and guidance is also about educating people, about work. Work is so central in our lives. We all know that if we are unhappy at work, if we are unfulfilled, this has negative repercussions on our family relations, on the way we feel about ourselves. So it's very important to learn about work. And I make a very big distinction, and I've written a lot about this, a distinction between learning about work and learning for work. So I'm very much in favor of helping young people and adults learn about work. Not all work respects our dignity. And it's very important that we present portrayals of work that help us improve ourselves, that respect our humanity, that provide us with good conditions where we can flourish. So it's not every kind of work. We're not about fitting people into work that is not fit for people. So it's about educating about work, about the alternatives that we have explored over time as to how to get together in decent ways through decent work in order to produce what we need, also with respect to others and with respect to the environment. what we have seen happening in many countries is the development of what we can call curriculum frameworks, or curricula that try to teach about work in a critical way, in an engaging way, in an experiential way, either in the curriculum by having timetabled space. Many countries, including my own, in our curriculum, there is a space for teaching about work, but also across the curriculum through other subjects, like, for example, through drama, we role play sitting for an interview. Through English lessons, we learn about writing a CV or a motivation letter. So it's about embedding learning about work in and across the curriculum, and trying to connect powerful ideas that come through the curriculum in different subjects. There's been a lot of work also done in developing experiential teaching methods so that we engage young people in learning about work in an interesting way, in a way that really makes them think critically about the situation of work in their country, in their context. And we've also developed a number of assessment strategies to understand better what young people are learning at school and elsewhere, largely through the use of portfolios. So that is one of the kind of big trends. It's not just about teaching and teaching in an interesting manner, but also to ensure that people are learning in an intelligent way, in a reflective way, largely through keeping reflective portfolios, which are the basis for career conversations, both with career advisors in schools, but also bringing parents in. In many countries, especially in the Mediterranean, the Middle East and North Africa, you cannot really do career education without bringing parents on board, because parents are still extremely influential, and sometimes they're influential in ways that are not terribly productive, like, for example, reinforcing gender stereotypes. So you really need to bring them in so that career education is shared with them, and that we learn from them as well, because they have quite a lot of embedded knowledge about work in their communities. A second aspect of what I've drawn out from the many reports that I've been privileged to read and to write is the importance of information. And here also, career information is a very big topic. Many countries have quite sophisticated data sets about the labor market. But these data sets are often produced in such a way that very few people can read them and make sense of them and use them. In fact, perhaps we can speak about an information dump that through the internet and through the efforts of government and statistics office, we often get more information than we can handle and more information than we can use, to the extent that when this happens to young people, they end up giving up and basically saying, what makes sense to me is I choose the subjects where I like the teacher. I go to the college where my friends have gone, or I go to the college which is not far away from my home. So how to produce and distribute and present information that is meaningful, and keeping in mind that the model that we should have perhaps of the way young people and adults make sense of the information is a constructivist model. That is, young people are actively making sense of the information that is around them. They make decisions as to which information can be trusted, can be relied on, and they are trying to make sense of their own lives, which inherently in most countries are extremely complex. The transitions have become less linear and the challenges are incredible. The labor market, in the labor market we keep seeing jobs that disappear and new ones that come on the horizon. So there's a lot that we have to do in order to make sure that the information we give is timely, is reliable, and is fair, and really helps the students make informed choices. And therefore, this is where quality criteria come in relation to information, that it's, not gender biased, that it's not, it doesn't reproduce social class expectations, that there is sensitivity to diversity, and that somehow the information that reaches the students for them to work on and to make sense of is not in a fragmented manner, but it is woven together in such a way that it's useful. This is a huge challenge. We have not managed to overcome this challenge in my country, even though we are such a small country. How to get reliable and unbiased information in a timely manner to young people. A third aspect of what one can focus on if one wants to develop quality services within a secondary school context. Many of these apply also to primary school and to higher education, but I'm focusing on secondary here, is that beyond information and beyond education, there are skills that are more closely linked to counseling. And here, counseling can be with individuals, with groups. What we have learned in Europe and elsewhere and beyond Europe is that it's important to perhaps use a triage approach, that is, that we approach our young people with the full knowledge that many can access career guidance and career learning, career development, with a little bit of help, but also through the use of internet-based software and information. So that's quite a large group that can manage with just a little bit of support. But then there is another group, smaller, which will benefit from a more direct counseling approach, where we mobilize specific skills, advanced skills in counseling for which we need to be trained. And very often we can help a lot of students through group work, through group counseling. And then there is a third level of students who are more in need. They are the ones who are likely to disengage from school, who have difficulties in understanding themselves, who have problems at home, and so on and so forth. And those might need individual counseling over an extended period of time. So triage, which comes from the medical field, is basically about knowing that people have different needs. Not everybody needs intensive counseling, but some do. And in our master's courses in Europe and internationally, very often there is a fair bit of the course dedicated to developing these helping skills, these counseling skills, to make sure that also we recognize students who are career ready and to encourage those who are not to come to the stage of being ready to have an informed and mature career conversation. Having the skills also to identifying the at-risk. There's so many very interesting initiatives about this, identifying the at-risk. Iceland, for example, has developed a special instrument in identifying at-risk students very early on in their school careers, and then shoring up and helping them make sure that they maintain the stamina over the coming years. The use of personal development plans, individual career plans. This is one of the most important instruments that is used across Europe and elsewhere. Developing personalized services, that is, we do not engage with our students in a bureaucratic, administrative kind of way, but there is an attempt to connect, to make sure that what we have to say is received in such a way that helps. And also different approaches to counseling, coaching, mentoring, and so on. Another aspect of what I'd like to highlight here is the notion of having a career hub in schools. Some people contest this in the sense that they say, look, today, schools, young people, they're all the time on social media. what's the point of having a careers hub in schools when we can have everything online? And I say it's not an either or. I think we need to have both. But I think that having in many countries, especially those that have only recently started investing in career guidance, it's very important to have a room which is well equipped, and I provide in my handbook some ideas and some links to how to set up such a career hub, because this gives career guidance legitimacy within the school. It's there, it's something physical that the students see, that the teachers see, that the head and the leadership team actually acknowledge is important. And it's a place where a lot of the career learning activities can take place, including inviting employers, inviting parents, having, older students, peer mentoring younger students, and so on and so forth. So it's very important to have posters, computers linked to, the right software. So having a hub, a careers hub in schools, and we find a lot of these in higher education settings especially, is something that I promote, and I think it's important. It strengthens the legitimacy. It enhances access to career services, because there is actually a place that reminds them that there is a service and that you can walk into, you can have an appointment, but you can walk into this room and do your own research with the support of careers advisors. It can be a hub for career learning. It's a site to bring partners together in order to strengthen the education program, the career education curriculum. It could also be a place where staff are involved in meeting students, peer mentoring. So this hub would be a site of business, of busy activities linked to career development. And it gives a specific character to the service that we want to provide. We're soon at the end. If we want quality in our career services, we've learned in Europe and elsewhere, we cannot do this on our own. Many teachers, in any case, have very little experience of the world of work. Even though they have studied career development, they might have perhaps had 2-3 jobs at most in their lives, and often in a similar area. So we know for a fact that the best career development programs in schools, in public employment services, in higher education settings, in community organizations, make sure that they bring on board different partners. And this could include alumni, having ex-students coming in, serving as models for, younger students, telling them what they have been through and how they managed, to become entrepreneurs, or how they find employment. It could be that we bring over further education staff to speak about courses, or perhaps to accompany our students to visit higher education settings and further education settings, as well as students. In many countries, especially in the Middle East and North Africa, but also in the Western Balkans, for example, there's a lot of emphasis on trying to stem the academic drift of students. A lot of students go to academic subjects, let's say general education subjects, very wonderful subjects, but many countries need also vocational skills. So how can we at least open up a conversation as to whether or not vocational schooling is of interest to them? And one way of doing it is that they meet vocational students and they go to vocational settings in order to see what's going on there and whether this is something that they wish to do. Meeting employers, in some countries we find very interesting initiatives where employers mentor young people in setting up companies or cooperatives and give them a lot of the benefit of their experience. Get external experts, trade union officials, local community experts, so having partners. And finally, we're at the end, a quality service depends on quality people. And in many countries, what we find is this attempt to move towards professional status. In many countries in the past, one could become a careers advisor simply because one liked young people. Nowadays, we realize we need much more than that. We need that love of working with people. Without that, we're useless. But in addition to that love and commitment to young people, there has to be also knowledge, expertise, and skills. And these are the courses like the one that was spoken about earlier on, that is offered through this college in order to ensure competence development. And one of the most, let's say, popular models we have in relation to professionalizing career guidance is this notion of the reflective practitioner, where we encourage young people who come to these courses to develop the skills and to have the theoretical lenses that they constantly evaluate themselves and change their practice on the basis of that reflection. And also through carrying out what is, what we use a lot in different professions, action research. And also the value of having critical friends in order to reflect on cases that we have that we find difficult to address or on our own. I'll conclude there to keep to the time. You have my email address. Please, I mean it when I say, do write to me. I am sitting on so many resources that I'd love to share with you. They're all free, that I've gathered from all over the world. And I find that it is an obligation on me to share that which other people have shared with me. So please do write to me. You will find the handbook on that develops many of these themes by clicking on this link there, which leads you to my Dropbox. And over here, you have links to several articles. If you're a student or if you are a practitioner who would like to deepen your knowledge about a specific area, please do link to my Dropbox. There are many off-prints which are available, again, free of charge, and anything that I can help with, please do ask. Thank you very much. And I hope that was of some use.
Oh my, Professor, that was amazing. That was very good. I'm even trying to look and see that what will I pick from what you've given us, because there is so much. And especially, I love that idea of embedding subjects into the work. Where do I learn maths? Where will it take me? Where do I learn geography? Where will it take me? And all that. Career information gaps. We have so much dams, we have so much, and students never know where to go to. Thank you so much, Professor. It was such an eye-opener. You've given us issues on quality. You've given us different ways on reflections, on different programs. I think it is so insightful. And I love, for those ones who are working in schools and colleges, please have that hub that Professor was talking about. I will be able to give you some of the links that he has told us about. I have quite I have quite a lot of them from what he has. We'll be able to give you the links. So I open the floor for questions, comments. I can see Akiwumi from Nigeria saying it's very informative. If you have any questions, you can raise up your hand. Then you can let, so that you don't forget, you can let Professor answer. And then we'll be able to go to the next one. Thank you so much, Professor Sultana. Anyone? Yes, Amon? Yes, Amon, you can unmute and then you ask your question.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, you're very audible.
All right. So thank you very much, Professor, for a nice presentation. This is an area that I am very interested about. When I go back to the village in the community and I look at our beautiful mothers and sisters, like invest a lot of money in sending children to universities. But when you graduate, you find many young people are prone to stay in cities. They don't have the passion to go back to the communities and share this knowledge. And you find that there's a lot of resources, there's a lot of land, there is a lot of young people there who need this knowledge, but they're not able to access high quality knowledge. So I was thinking what can be done, and this also reflects on how better we prepare students to go back to the community and share the knowledge and empower, because we have many young people, for example, in my village, in the community, who don't even know how to write an email, who don't know, they have no soft skills. And they're still, yes, in primary, secondary schools growing up, but if we don't have a career guidance at the community levels, nurturing young people, we will have a problem in the future. We want to have quality lecturers and teachers who are going to shape this environment, education environment. So what can be done to ensure that also these young people are accessed with this knowledge? What kind of environments, what kind of enabling environment can we create? Maybe as some people who are into consultants, I have a consultants firm in the community, but this is my experience, which I'm seeing. And there's a very big knowledge gap. So what would you advise for us to make sure that we create that enabling environment to create and guide young people who are growing up in this environment and be able to inform the job market? Yeah.
Thank you.
Would you like me to?
Yes, Ronald, just
Yes, okay. I mean, obviously, this is a very big question, and I would feel embarrassed even to try to offer, you know, what could be called an answer. What I can offer is that I have seen some communities where what you are rightly pointing out as what should happen is actually happening. I've done some work for UNICEF in a number of countries, and I remember some years back going to a very remote area in Tunisia. It's called Kef, and the other one next to it is Kasserine. And I saw some of the most amazing teachers I have ever seen, and I've been all over the world. And these were very, you know, remote communities, very poor, and yet the teachers were absolutely fantastic. And the reason behind this was not only because of their personal commitment, but because the government had a policy. So some of the issues that you're raising can be addressed by good policies, either from the center or from a region that creates incentives for young people to remain engaged, you know, in their communities and not just go to the cities. To be practical, you know, you spend your first 2 years as a teacher within that community, and then you can move on. You're not there for life. So you create the kinds of reasonable, pragmatic policy solutions that serve as drivers of people's actions. But that requires a political commitment to what you're talking about. What you're talking about requires a political commitment that, you know, that goes beyond the city in order to embrace all kinds of communities. I saw something similar, I mean, again, quite amazing in Egypt. So far away from cities that we had to go with 4-wheel drive, you know, jeeps in order to reach the places. Well, that was absolute, not even mobiles worked. We had to have satellite phones. And yet what I saw there, how young people, young women mostly, were becoming teachers in their community in order to persuade traditional communities, especially fathers, to let their girls go to school after puberty. And amazing. I mean, I wrote a book about this. If you're interested, it's one of the experiences in my life that I really, really treasure. What I saw there again was fantastic. So it is possible, but you need love and commitment, and you need policies that drive that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Amon, you can also talk to us. We know that from the professional point of view, they're trying to put together the policy, and you can actually be part of that. You can talk to us. You can talk to us. I'll give my number as well. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Professor, please stay right there. so that just in case of anything else, then we'll be able to answer. If you have any question, you can also put it on the chat, and then you'll be able to answer. So I want to give a short session to Dr. Mercy. Dr. Mercy, who will be is a colleague. She's the Director of Learning and Development and Research in CCGD, a PhD in Curriculum Development. She's going to tell us 10 minutes about how to get qualified. Professor told us that it is very important that when you're offering this service, that you are qualified, you have the right skills, you have training. I think that's what he started with. So Dr. Mercy, the floor is yours. You can tell us in 10 minutes how to get qualified in this sector so that you can become like Professor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll share in, yes. Okay, I hope that is, yeah. Thank you, Margaret, and thank you, Professor. This was awesome. I will go right into the business and why we need the training because of the trends that are taking place. And I think as Professor has already shared with us that the movement since 2000 is really, the career development services have been, it's one of the global agenda. And so why do we need these services and why do we need to be qualified? It's because the issues of reskilling, the new skills that are emerging. We have now the green jobs, the digital jobs, the blue economy. So this requires new skills, and even for the young people to be able to tap into these new areas, we need to have skills so that we can be able to empower them. Upskilling and general skills. So this is one of the areas that we cannot escape, and especially if our role is to guide and to be able to offer services to the students so that they can make informed choices. So these are some of the images that reflect what our professor was talking about, that we have a lot of confusion among the young people. We have many people who are educated, graduates, and they have no jobs. So what would be the role? Can research be preempted? We have the students in our schools with the subjects. They are not sure of what subjects they are going to choose and what options those subjects can offer to them. Then we have in our new system of education, nurturing every learner's potential. How are we going to be able to help the CBC implementation in terms of helping our learners identify their potential, and so that they can be able to even to be successful in whatever area that they would wish to be. We have the undecided, a group of people who are, other than just confusion, they are the undecided. And if you look at us in a local context, I will share some statistics, and you'll be able to see the group that is undecided, and that informs some of the reasons why we need to be qualified so that we can be able to tap into such group of students or the youth that need our services, and they also within our communities and their brothers and sisters. We have in terms of which area, there are over 30,000 careers available worldwide. So which one is suitable for me? So this then becomes the role of the career development facilitator to be able to, based on even information that our professor has said, there's a lot of information dump. So how do we pick the relevant information so that each and every category of our people will be able to access the right information? So I hope this represents some of the challenges that we're experiencing in our context. In our Kenyan situation, this is what we are seeing. I wonder whether it is the same for Uganda. Is it the same for Somali? Is it the same for Nigeria? Is it the same for Rwanda? You can share that information on the chat. Then besides that, the undecided people again show some, if we look in terms of access to post-secondary education. This is the statistics from economic survey in Kenyan that shows the number of students who qualify for post-secondary education and post-secondary education in university and also TVET. So we have almost about only the students who transit into post-secondary education is 30%, only 30%. And 70% remains within our communities. When Amon is talking about how can we tap into our services within our communities, it's a real need within where we come from in Kenya. This is the number, the statistics according to the economic survey. So even if we prorate, it's with a lot of expansion with TVET education and the sponsorship and investment in infrastructure, we still find a whole, the transition still, it's very weak. And considering that we need skilled manpower for development and for solving the problems within our community. So the problems within the community cannot be solved with only basic education qualification. Those are literal, it's the education beyond secondary school is the one that's developed skills, and basic education is just for literacy, numeracy, and reading. So if we don't have that, it means even for opportunity for growth, opportunity for economic growth is still going to be affected. So these are the statistics. Another for employers within the world of work, skills mismatch report by Federation of Kenya Employers. Again, our graduates are not prepared. When we see that picture of educated and I'm not, and I cannot get a job, then it's because of the skills mismatch. So a report by Federation of Kenya Employers 2018 reviewed about 66% of our graduates leaving our higher education institutions are not prepared for the job market. They are not, they cannot easily be absorbed in the labor market because they have the skills gap, either because of the curriculum or either because of exposure to what the employers require. So then this is one of the areas that we need to also how to prepare our graduates so that they can join the labor market successfully. Alignment within the workplace, again, another study reviewed that 66 people are in the wrong careers, only 7% are in the right careers. So this then also it reflects on the services that we receive in our own, either services within our organizations where people are hired. So we are likely to get poor service because people are in the wrong careers. Another research by UNICEF in 2018 on happy employees globally that targeted about 40 countries. Again, 87% are in the wrong careers. They do not like, in terms of the happiness, they hate, 63 dislike their work, and 64 hate their work. So in terms of happiness, if 87 reflect that, so then it also has an implication with what is the level of productivity. If employees are not happy, they hate their work and they also dislike it. So the services again is not going to be compromised in terms of that. So if all these are challenges that we are experiencing, then there should be an intervention that you and I can make so that we can preempt some of these, so that we not just point fingers, but if we have the right skills, we'll be able to preempt and also be proactive about them. So for that, as an organization, we reflected based on those in our experiences, and we co-developed a qualification in career guidance and development with ABMA education, and the level 6 is what is equated by the Kenya National Qualification Framework in Kenya. So it's a level 6 with a 1-year classroom training, and I'll be able to share more about it. So the syllabus content has 4 areas: the functional competencies in terms of what are the functions of the department. And Professor already has shared some of them. Will be partnerships, there will be reflection, there will be how the service is going to be delivered to different categories of people. and then cognitive in terms of theory and practice, and then the personal competencies. What are the skills, the personal skills in terms of facilitation, communication skills, and then ethical competencies. Any field of operation worldwide is governed by ethical practices. So the same way with career development practices, it also has ethical competencies that each person who is offering that service needs to have those skills and be able to offer the service ethically and then professionally. So the standards and compliance, then it is equated and accredited by Kenya National Qualification Framework. The assessment awarding a certification is done by ABMA, Education UK. Registration as a college, as CCGD, is registered by ABMA as a center, and also as a training institution by TVETA. TVETA is the authority that registers post-secondary educations, and especially the TVET and the middle-level colleges. And then in terms of staff qualifications, it's one of the requirements that some of the staff are licensed by TVETA as tutors. So I am licensed by TVETA to be a trainer. And then the other staff are masters in career guidance and development from Global University. You soon see the staff requirements. So the course delivery, we have scheduled guided virtual classes. So it is virtual classes, but guided. So we use Zoom or Microsoft Teams for our classes in the evening between 6:30 to 8:30 in the evening. Then additional materials, additional learning activities are offered through learning management system, which is Moodle. And then we have assignments again are done online and also submitted online through also again Moodle learning management system. And in terms of the payment, in terms of the cost of the course, there's a flexible payment plan, either per unit or monthly. So this is a flexibility in terms of we put into consideration the economic situation in the country, and so we also need to be flexible in terms of how we accommodate as many people so that they're able to meet their other obligations, even as they consider the payment for how to pay for the courses. So how would the application, what would it be important once you qualify in this, why you train in this area? So you acquire new skills, and these skills can be applied in curriculum or course or workshop planning, designing, developing, evaluating, and revising career education programs. If there are any education programs that exist, then you will have skills on how to revamp or even to redesign or design new ones. Integrating career management competencies across school curriculums through career education. There's a unit on career education programs. And so these are the skills that are taught on how to integrate all the competencies, career development competencies within the curriculum. Then developing and reviewing information products so that we avoid having that information dump. Then we have professionals who in this career information specialists who will be able to review and develop information career development products that will be suitable, that will be age appropriate and formatted in a way that can easily be acceptable to different categories of users. Then again, Professor mentioned about portfolios. So then this is also a way that if this is the way that information is going to be packaged, and so that people can document their learning and be able to showcase their skills and experience, then developing career portfolios would be an easy task and will be useful as you guide your different categories of people. So where are the opportunities for these career development professionals? Either in learning institutions, either for students, either parents. We said we have the new education system in Kenya, the CBC, and one of the areas is emphasizing career education being incorporated in the curriculum. How best can we be able to do this? So professionals in this area will be able to unpack CBC and be able to help it so that it can easily be useful, either for the parents, for the teachers, and and any other person, even with the government, in terms of implementing proper implementation and integration of career education within the CBC. The career services departments, we have all the universities and also TVET institutions. It's mandatory, they have a Department of Career Services department, and also it's also encouraged, even in the basic education, that there will be need for career services departments. And so these emerging opportunities, emerging job opportunities for people within the learning institutions. Then we have the services to youth, especially those not in education and training, so that we can be able to address the 70% that we are not sure where they transit into. Then we have a task to be able to reach out to them within, they are part of our community, so that we can address their career needs, their problems, and professionally. Then we also have the services to those, the people who will be changing jobs or in transition, or those who may experience losses, their jobs have been declared redundant. There's looming, in a context, there's looming early retirement. So the people now that there's the looming retirement, the people with over 50, it's being proposed that they need to be early retired. So a person with 50 years, you have another about 30 years to live. How are such people going to transit into the new, to be able to get either new jobs, or how can we help them in that particular area? So that area, that category of people, again, from a civil service point of view, there's an opportunity for us to be able to provide that. Expand, then it also has an opportunity, if there's any other person who is doing this kind of services, it's an opportunity to expand your full scope of career development services as a consultant, so that in area of careers, either helping people in awareness, identifying their skills, exploration in terms of gathering information, how they prepare if they're students, the CVs, the graduate students, is the CVs, and how the placement services, and how they transit it across all into transitions. Then also services to impact people's careers over lifetime, to offer preventive services. We've seen, we already have issues that the students do not know how to choose subjects. We also have graduates who have been trained and are not able to get jobs. We have undecided. So that because all these things exist within our community, then we need to offer preventive and proactive services before these things become a crisis, either as career coaches, advisors, information specialists, and etc. So this is what would be opportunities for you. So who do you think can benefit from this training? Is it you? Is it employed graduates amongst ourselves, so that they can be able to tap into the area, emerging areas? Is it a neighbor you think that can benefit from this? Our children, those of us who are elderly, I'm sure we have our own children who think that they can benefit from this, and it is open to all. So there we have 2 course intakes in May and September. And so the May class will be starting in May 22nd. And so we have an intake going on, and you're encouraged to apply for the course. So this is the faculty members. So we have, I'm the head of the team. So we have Pauline Wangombe, who teaches on career guidance in the workplace. Dr. Fidel Baraza, who teaches career guidance for special needs. Nikki Mu from UK, University of Derby, teaches theory and practice, and also career education programs. Then we have Amy Woolley, also from UK, and Polly. They were Polly and Amy were Nikki's students. So Amy teaches career guidance, mentoring and advising, and also career guidance for learning institutions. Polly teaches career guidance for career information and career coaching. We have Nina from South Africa, who teaches on academic research methods. And we have Edward Aligula also. She's a PhD candidate with Africa International University, Kenya, and he's the one who helps us with the Moodle support, learning management support. So that's the team that will be your for any area. This is the team that you will be interacting with, and we wish you the best. So when we think in terms of review this, the opportunities are so many, but we are very few in this field. So we want as many to be able to trade so that we can meet into so that we can address the issues that are affecting our society, our community, in terms of transition, into terms of the work. So I leave you with the words of Matthew, chapter 9, verse 35 to 38, where Jesus was training in terms of teaching, in terms of the call to people to save people. So the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So it's the same that applies to these career development service opportunities. We are very few. The opportunity is so huge. The need is so huge, but the laborers are very few. So we welcome you to join us so that we can be as many and be able to preempt and be proactive about the problems or the issues that are affecting our community, our students in the learning institutions, in the workplaces, and etc., so that we can be able to make a difference in their lives. So thank you very much, and I end there and hand it over to you back, Margaret.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Mercy. That is about the training. I've seen people asking, is it part-time? Yes, it's online. I've put in the some details about it. If you go online, you'll find it. I don't know that, Dr. Mercy, you have the form that we had for those ones who would be interested in joining. They would. I would like, in the interest of time, Jacqueline is here and is our student. I can see quite a number of our students here, and Githige. I can see Jacqueline. Jacqueline, are you here? Maybe you can just say in 2 minutes about your experience in the interest of time. 2 minutes, Jacqueline. There you go. We can't hear you. Unmute, Jacqueline. No, we still can't hear you. Thanks, Professor Sultana. Yes, you can get, yes, it's a good course. I know you are offering also a master's in the same, and we've looked at your course and it is pretty good. Yeah, so we are all in this. Jacqueline, are you able to?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. 2 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I've turned on my camera because I have something to show the audience, but let's reflect on this. Think about being hungry, as in you haven't eaten a good meal for a very long time, and then you get a good meal and you eat it. How do you feel? Or all of your life, you've just lived in the village and you read and hear about big things happening. And finally, you get a chance to experience all of that firsthand. How do you feel about it? So I don't know what to say about CCGD, but I will share about my experience. I have a book here. I hope everyone is able to see it.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, the Career Leader Handbook. If you gave me this book a year ago, most likely I would shelve it and do nothing about it, because the content in this book is beyond my comprehension. That is a year ago. Right now, I'm so passionate about this book. I carry it with me on a daily basis. A few people in my department have tried looking at it, and for them, it's not making any sense, you know, because they haven't gone through the career guidance course, the course that we are taking right now. And so to I can talk about the extra book that I used to have or I have. And this book is specifically for writing the gaps that I identify. I attend a lecture, and at the end of it, I have so many gaps that I've identified in my school, in the community. I write them down because I know this is something that needs a follow-up, if not a follow-up, and then needs to be looked into. And so, number 3, I can talk about networkings. The materials we get in class, as in, it's just first class materials. And then the lecturers, the group that you saw people, that group is so passionate about careers. The classes are 2 hours, but how I wish we could just have the whole day learning, discussing, and just contributing, engaging, because this class is all about that. And out of this, I can tell you, you know how Kenyans like to say meeting behind the tent. I've done a lot of that with my lecturers, and I've really gotten a lot of information that I am able to apply to my workplace. I work in a learning institution, high school to be specific, and that has been very, very beneficial. And then my classmates, or the classmates, we have serious people in CCGD, people who have done PhDs. Unfortunately, we don't have one in our class, but other classes have got such people. Even each and every member of that class has something unique and different to bring to the table. So you can imagine the kind of information you are getting or resources you are getting from different fields in the same room. And then I also want to talk about mentors. Our teachers have been our mentors, and we are leaving CCGD with something tangible, something that can be used out there in our communities, in our learning institutions. You don't have to be a teacher. You don't have to be working in a learning institution for you to do all this. And then one big thing that I have gained from this course is confidence. And I say confidence because I am a junior in our department, but the impact I have due to this class is just so huge. I've taken initiatives on so many projects because I have the information, I have the knowledge, and I have the capacity to implement. So I've been engaging my department a lot on this, and we are going places as a school. And then the confidence I have, as in my community, of course, I belong to the Kenyan KCSE community. I work in an international school, a different curriculum. But when I come back home into the community, you should see the kind of questions kids or students are asking me. Mostly high school students and university students. And university students are like, where was this information all along while I was still in high school? I have a 17-year-old who's doing KCSE this year. I haven't been able to break the barrier in terms of careers because it's too late. For him, he's been conditioned to just say or think the grade that I will get and the course that I will be called for is what I will go for. Why is he saying this? It's because he has never experienced career guidance. And for me to start now saying, okay, let's work on this, it's too late. But nonetheless, we can still work with our high school students as early as Form 1, even grade 8, as they say. And I'm interacting with CBC students. They have this book, a technical something. It's about pre-careers, I think, and it's so shallow. And I have a neighbor who's in grade 7, the first CBC class. And I talked to this boy. He's a very, very sharp boy who seems to know where he is going. And he really engages me. And that just gives me you know, some hope. And I become so passionate talking about all this with the students.
Thank you,
then,
Jacqueline. Thank you,
Yes.
Jacqueline, for the interest of time. I think we'll give you another session. You teachers tend to talk a lot, huh? So I think we'll give you a session. Tell us, because you have so much.
Okay, one more, just one more.
Okay.
I want to say this to everyone. You don't have to be a teacher to learn about career guidance. And you don't have to be a career guidance for you to be a teacher. You can interrelate. I'm not a teacher by profession, but I can give career guidance directions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline, as one of our students. They'll be graduating very, very soon, and we'll be very, very happy. We'll actually call all of us to actually get into that. As I conclude, unless anybody has a question for Professor, you already have his email, and we can always give you as much information as possible, or you can chat as well. Unless there is anybody who has a burning questions with Professor, I think we're already at 8:53. We should have finished at 45. So I think we need to clear up right now. So career conversations continue. So now we've had from different countries, and now we come back home, and we will have one of the lecturers in this, or the teachers in the, one of our teachers, Pauline Wangombe, HR practitioner, and also an assessor. She's going to be speaking on the transition into employment, career development tools that you need to use. So please, if you are in college, or if you are offering services in college, at universities, even in school, please do not miss this. Do not miss this, so that you'll be able to listen and to hear about transition into employment. That is, Pauline, it is going to take place in April 20th, which is next week. I think it is on a Wednesday, but on 20th, same time. So with that, I would like to leave by asking, if you want to receive alerts on our upcoming webinars, please text, "I want to be a member of Career Conversations," and that is the number, and we shall add you. Dr. Mercy has also put in a Google form if you would like to be, to also get in, to be part of our students for the makers, then you can fill in, and then we can follow you. Dr. Mercy, you can also put in our numbers in case anybody wants to have more information, then you'll be able to do that. So please text "I want" to that number, not here, please. Please keep me posted. That is Abdullahi, that is from Somalia, so that you're able to be getting alerts on the upcoming webinars that we have. And with that, we want to call it an evening. And as I said, unless anybody has a burning question, I can see there is no burning question. You can always get back to us. If you need more information, let us know. Professor Sultana, we can't thank you enough. So thank you so much. And team, may God bless you all, and may you have a great evening until we meet again next week. Kwaherini. Bye-bye to you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you all the way from Somalia. Thank you from Olawale from Nigeria. I see you've done a good job. You brought in quite a number of people that you are with. So thank you very much. In Kenya, we say asante sana. Rwanda as well. Thank you.
Yeah.